Morning. It's Tuesday, August 10th. And I have to admit I was wrong about something. In one of my rants about the virus, about the coronavirus, I said all these variants were coming up and soon we would see an Omega as opposed to a Delta. But I was wrong. It's not Omega that has shown up. It's Lambda. So you see, if you've been listening to me for all these months, then I must admit that I make a mistake every now and then. So that was my big mistake. And it's a big mistake that's going on all around this country, where people are not rushing to get vaccinated, and people are not rushing to wear their masks. Instead, they're rushing to defend their rights to be idiots, to put themselves in a position to die, to put themselves and their families in a terrible position, a position that might last for a very long time. Because while you might suffer some physical damage and not die from Delta or Lambda or just plain old COVID-19, you will leave some indelible mental stress on many members of your family and your friends. So go out there and continue to do what stupidity makes you do. Don't wear your mask. Get sick. Turn the country upside down. Does that make you feel any better? Standing in front of a school and saying, I'll not allow my child to be masked. Think about the effects of masking will have on the child. Think about his mental condition. Well, think about your mental condition if that child gets sick, or if you get sick while carrying on about mask mandates and how schools should not be allowed to set their rules for their own populations. That's ridiculous. So we have to give it up. We have to give it up. We have to give in, and we have to get our vaccinations, and we have to be fully vaccinated in this country as fast as possible. And that's really all I want to say about that particular thing, because there are other crazy things going on in the world. We've left Afghanistan. All that we have left there is some pilots flying over and trying to stop the Taliban. But it hasn't worked. The Taliban are raging through the country. And they have just picked up a very important city they've taken control of. Kunduz, a strategically important provincial capital. That's the first major city to fall to the Taliban since the offensive began in May. And Afghanistan's swift descent into violence is alarming. And the warnings that were issued that the Taliban was not done were ignored. And how could we spend 20 years in a place like that and not leave the country with a unit that can defend itself? What are we doing there? What in the world are we doing there? It's a monumental failure. It's a black mark on the history of the United States. And there are 4 or 5 other provincial capitals in Afghanistan that have been seized or are about to be seized. So we pissed away 20 years of our lives and the lives of 2,500 soldiers who were killed there. That's 2,500 families that suffered some agony because of our stupidity. So I ask you, are we going to do this again? And the answer is probably yes, because I don't think we really learned anything. And what happens if Kabul falls? So the Taliban will take over the entire country and nobody will do shit about it. And the women in that country will suffer much greater than the men in that country. So we've increased the airstrikes and everything, but they haven't done a damn thing. And we look at this and just mark it up as a 20-year mistake and move on move on to other subjects that are more pressing. But I don't think in the back of anybody's mind who takes a real look at this situation knows that it was a big mistake in the first place, knows that we probably should have gotten out of there after the first go-round. But for some reason, some inane, stupid, hawkish reason, we stayed there for 20 years. That tell you about the management of this country? Not much. Not much. So to move on to something else. Infrastructure. Senate is going to vote on the infrastructure bill this morning. They cut off discussions yesterday. That was the final debate on the massive $1.2 trillion infrastructure package. And there are 68 senators who are prepared to vote. That's 50 Democrats and 18 Republicans. They're going to hold a vote this morning, and the senators are confident that the bill will pass, even though there's been some recent shuffling in order to get the necessary support for the bill from the Republicans. And if it passes, it's not really a win for President Biden's agenda. It will be a win for both parties. They have worked for months to try to get an agreement on this bill. But even if the Senate votes yes, that doesn't make it a deal. The House still has to pass it. And the House they could face significant challenges in the House. So this is not really a done deal yet. But we made some progress. We got 18 Republican senators to be bipartisan, and that's a good thing. And now let's hope it can get through the House. But the question still remains in my mind. How are we going to pay for this thing? And that's going to be another battle, because I am sure that this will involve some restructuring of the tax laws in this country, some kind of reversal to the tax cuts that President Trump got passed a while ago. I, for one, would be in favor of a 28% tax rate, and more than the 28% tax rate on corporations would be the elimination of many of the exemptions that businesses are entitled to. And so I leave you with those thoughts this morning. We have a lot of work to do in this country to get our asses in gear, to get straightened out. And this infrastructure might be the first step in the right direction. So have a great day, and I'll see you in the morning. Bye.